I thinking?
Is humanity doomed? What has Sam done? Has he accidentally released Ultron?
Wait, pause. I need to write something down. No wonder you've been chomping at the bit over this. Hello, and welcome to The Big Con, the podcast dedicated to demystifying and simplifying the world of strategy, exploring its impact on businesses and individuals who've either harnessed it for success or perhaps missed the mark. I'm Emily, Harvard degree candidate.
My name is Dale, big business nerd and self-proclaimed content aficionado.
We are bringing you in on the con, sharing the valuable lessons from both the failures and triumphs of those who've come before us. Now, Dale, you're bringing something to us today that you have been absolutely fixated on.
I have no words. And because whenever I say business and content aficionado, the story I'm bringing today is exactly what I am referring to. This is my Roman Empire, a tale about a business that we've already covered on the Big Con podcast a few episodes ago, and it's definitely my favorite tale of 2023 and perhaps even the last decade.
Oh my God.
If you've had your head in the sand, I am bringing you the events surrounding the very messy firing of Sam Altman from OpenAI and how the board of OpenAI stages a coup that ultimately backfired, led to a situation in which they had 4 CEOs in 5 days, a whole new board, how Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella made some sweet lemonade from this situation, or so it seems, and a phrase that I didn't think I'd be saying so passionately as a 31-year-old man-child. This is why good governance is so important. We are not a generic business podcast. We are a strategy podcast. So we're going to give it that big con strategy spin because there are lessons in here for everyone.
Amazing.
Plus, Emily, I just want to geek out with you about this. It's amazing.
Well, I'll let you know, since you told me that you're going to do an episode on it, I've actually specifically not read anything about it. Because I'm keen to hear it. I want to hear it from Dale. I'm ready.
All right. I'm going to take you to late Friday, November 17th. Sam Altman, fresh from a developer conference, he's just doing his thing. He's been on a bit of a world tour recently. He gets a text from Ilya Sutskever, one of the OpenAI co-founders and the chief scientist. And he's like, hey, mate, can you just attend this quick Google Meet? Sam logs in, and I assume he does the whole you're on mute thing, like we all do when we get to that. He's human too. Lo and behold, the whole board is there with some upsetting news. Sam is fired. And the president of OpenAI, Greg Brockman, is demoted, although not fired. OpenAI publicly announces the firing in a blog and anoints a current CTO, Mira Murati, as the interim CEO. So, not good. All of a sudden, the group chat for tech nerds everywhere, Twitter, now X, is going off during this time. There's rumor and conjecture. What has Sam done? Has he accidentally released Ultron? Is humanity doomed? Is this related to a sexual assault allegation thrown by his sister? Did he release a whole bunch of data he wasn't meant to? But all of a sudden, the recently demoted Greg Brockman quickly merges on X and quits in solidarity with Sam, which really changes the course of everything. Greg has a really strong reputation and wouldn't be standing by Sam if it was something salacious. Suddenly, the board is in damage control. They release a statement. It says, Mr. Altman's departure follows a deliberate review process by the board, which concluded that he was not consistently candid in his communication with the board, hindering its ability to exercise its responsibilities. Your face there, for those who are listening and not watching us on YouTube, which I highly recommend you do, was confused.
Yeah.
And that's why, because we've touched on crap statements before, and this is up there. Vague. It was then revealed that key investors, including Microsoft, have no idea what's happening. As a little reminder, Microsoft has a $13 billion stake in this company. It owns 49% of it, and it's underpinned much of their roadmap on OpenAI's efforts. Microsoft's stock price drops 2% on this news. Not good, particularly in off-hours trading. Not to mention, the value of OpenAI, around 80 to 90 billion, is completely in question, with Sam at the head. Firing the CEO and a very public frontman, and the deal maker is one you definitely make a call about. So, who decided to oust Sam, aka who was in the board? 1, Adam D'Angelo, one-time CTO at Facebook and now the CEO of Quora and Poe. Tasha McCauley, she's an AI researcher, also happens to be the wife of Joseph Gordon-Levitt, unrelated, just interesting facts. And Helen Toner, a fellow Australian, Melburnian in fact, effective altruist and head of safety in AI. It's been reported that Helen has been a thorn in the side of the board and Sam for a little bit of a while. And sure, why not? How annoying is focusing on safety when you're making super fast extraordinary robot pipelines?
All right, here we go.
Who leads the whole shenanigans? Well, it's Ilya. Ilya Sutskever, OpenAI's chief scientist, and there appears to be a bit of a big clash on this kind of AI safety issues. There's a bit of a slowdown movement, there's a bit of Sam wanting to be a bit faster, etc., etc. But more on those individuals later, because in our whole OpenAI mess, or shitstorm, that is the technical term, they've got some work to do, mopping up this mess, cleaning up their relationship with their investors, finding a new CEO, and they've got to do it fast. Things are not looking good. Not to mention, it's been reported that they didn't have outside counsel, crisis teams, or anything. They all decided to do this very much internally, perhaps with the help of ChatGPT.
If you're going to ask your CEO, blindside him or her or them, you're going to have to do it quick because rumor mill gets round. Like it's not going to stay a secret very long. Someone's going to spill the beans because that's huge. I feel like they've maybe kind of just like, let's just quickly do this and then think about the fallout later. And that may not have been the best.
Quick is interesting. Like, I think quick is one component, but also having your ducks in a row, which I feel like, and it will be revealed as you go through this, they did not.
Yeah.
Let's have a quick reprieve, because I need to explain something a little bit confusing. OpenAI's whole governance structure. So strap in. I want you to think of OpenAI like a house, designed by an architect with too much free reign, too many rooms, floors, and features. It's nuts. The house is owned and managed by a non-profit organization, which acts as the governing body for all of OpenAI.
Okay.
Non-profit has a board of directors, who I listed above. They have no equity in the company, but they're responsible for overseeing the strategy, the operations, and the finances of the house. The board appoints a house CEO, Sam, and they can apparently also fire him, who leads the management of team and staff. The house has a special section, or room, called OpenAI LP, which is a hybrid of non-profit and for-profit entities. And inside this section of the house, all the research and development happens. That's where ChatGPT gets deployed and improved upon. This section of the house has its own board, which has plenty of influence over OpenAI's LP direction, so that small room, and a significant stake. All the investors I've been talking about that are funding this, they're funding only that bit of the house. There is no voting power or influence that these investors have. The reality is the metaphor is a bit more nuanced, a bit more messy, but in general, it's a confusing and less than productive board structure in general. And there's rumblings that this is one of the points of contention in Sam's firing, albeit the most boring one. Sam's a bit of a capitalist entrepreneur, while others want OpenAI to be this good for society, non-for-profit. We are championing the future of what AI could be. But it means the structure of the OpenAI board can effectively blindside, you said it right, investors with the financial review calling it very unstable. And I have to agree. All in all, it's weird and it's not fit for the time. It may have been something that worked as they're a startup, but as they've kind of grown and shifted, it seems a bit odd when one room in your house is pretty much the most powerful.
Especially when you're a non-profit and that room stands to turn a profit.
There's a real argument coming out around, can you have a mission-led company that's also highly profitable? Now, while I've been discussing broad structures, things are happening back in OpenAI land, and it's been reported that the board has contacted a competitor, Anthropic, for a merger. Twitter and X is awash with things like, I stand with Sam.
Yeah, I've seen this.
There's anecdotes of his time as Y Combinator president, which we'll touch on later in this season, being a generally good bloke. The worst thing to happen is when you fire someone and he's become a matter, particularly for the board. And the board is looking really, really, really bad right now. They're looking like a complete schmozzle. OpenAI staff members have begun putting up white love hearts in solidarity, and more key staff have resigned. And there's rumblings that the decision may be reversed. The board is contemplating resigning, allowing Altman to return. It's one of his conditions he's put in. As you'd imagine, investors are putting pressure on them, and Satya Nadella, CEO of Microsoft, is there to mediate. And Sam tweets, or zeets, whatever it might be, from OpenAI, wearing a guest pass. First and last time I'll have to wear this, he says jovially. Or so he thinks. Because at the 11th hour, the board misses the deadline to resign. Bang! All of a sudden, there's a brand new CEO. Former Twitch co-founder Emmett Shear, who is very much aligned with the effective altruist movement and is quite public about asking for a bit of a slowdown in AI. He doesn't want to stop, he just wants to pause, and I think he's quoted saying, let's take it down from a 10 to maybe a 2 before we create this whole end of the world scenario.
Wait,
sure,
what
whatever.
were they thinking? Publicising that they were going to bring Altman back. What were they thinking?
They didn't publicise it, he did. It was just rumoured.
Holy.
This is breaking as it goes, and a lot of this journalism is owed to one Kara Swisher, who I feel like went back to her roots in this. She's a renowned tech journalist and just lapped this up and just showed why she's still one of the number one names in the game. Emma does the right thing and quickly launches or announces a 30-day plan, as you do when you're a CEO, including of exploration, how the board made this complete cock-up. Sam is allegedly shocked, but we are not even a little bit through this exciting tale,
Oh my
because within
God.
minutes, Satya Nadella announces they've made a little acquisition and they've given Sam a research company inside of Microsoft. He retains his CEO title, along with his pal Greg, and also anyone else who wants to maybe come across from OpenAI, which is lucky because the next day, 735 of OpenAI's 770 employees are threatening to resign if the board does not step down. Fun
Oh my God.
fact,
I'm
this
so glad I didn't
includes
read anything about this and I'm going on this journey. Whoa.
This includes Ilya Sutskever, who led the original coup and was the ringleader in the whole thing in the first place. He shoots out an apology message saying, I didn't mean to. And he goes, I'll also walk if the board does not step down.
What?
Microsoft is looking real good right now. They are perceived to effectively taken all the good bits of OpenAI. They've already got the code through their partnership. So they have the rights to ChatGPT, more or less, and now they're getting the talent. Microsoft stock price closes at an all-time high. I'm going to like to introduce, and sorry for not telling you this is a bit of a board cue myself, a new segment on the Big Con podcast called Speculation Corner, where I bring theories of why Sam was fired, and we bet on what is true. The winner gets bragging rights.
I love this idea. I'm so in.
Are you ready? A bit of the rationale that was provided to Sam, allegedly through a few sources, is that Sam provided feedback on staff member to two different people, which was different to what Sam had asked two teams to work on the same project. So a bit of just bad management. The truth has to be a lot more juicy, because if that's grounds for firing, I know a few people that need to polish up their resume.
Yeah.
Potential reason one why he might be fired. They discovered AGI internally. So Sam wants to release it to enslave humanity. AGI, by the way, is what we all think AI should be. So it's the fact that we'll be like, hey, Jarvis, make me a thing, and it'll be there versus what ChatGPT is at the moment.
Yeah.
But there's a bit of a philosophical schism that's developed across the AI community, boiling down to those who want to do the things slowly and carefully. Prominent self-proclaimed techno lord Elon Musk is at this party, nervous that humanity is at risk. The other party is rushing ahead, hoping to bring on the second coming of God on a computer chip. One rumor is that artificial general intelligence, or something close to it, was haunting the servers of OpenAI. They've discovered it, with Sam wanting to launch it to the world, whilst other members of the team, including Ilya and those safety people on the board, were a bit more cautious. He famously posted on Reddit a few months back, AGI has been achieved internally, with no more content. Could have been a joke, could have been wildly alarming. Reason 2. OpenAI used some naughty data that they shouldn't have to train future GPTs. And there's national security risks. Sam is proactive. He's a bit of a sacrificial lamb. The eventual press release that says, hey, listen, we stuffed up. But listen, it was Sam's fault. We've already dealt with it. Reason 3. Sam is spinning up a company with a conflict of interest. Maybe competing with NVIDIA or some of the graphics chip. Let's park Sam's venture to scan everyone's retinas and put them on the blockchain. But there's also rumblings of getting some funding from wealthy areas of the Middle East, perhaps spinning up something with renowned Apple designer Johnny Ive, seeking billions and courting SoftBank to compete with NVIDIA. Suppose he must be kind of upfront with the board when doing something like this. I see how it could be grounds for firing. Reason 4. Misalignment of values on the slow down, speed up. It's kind of the boring version of number 1, but it goes back to the house analogy. Because although this house is similarly one for shared house agreements, it's obvious who's running the chore roster in this house, and it's Sam. Someone to maintain the non-for-profit, good for humanity stance. Still, Sam is a very profit-driven mentality, which comes down to blows at a recent keynote, where he pretty much renounced a big marketplace, very much focused on profit, plus the whole enslave humanity slowdown argument, which appears to be a real issue in OpenAI. Half the board is terrified to let the genie out of the bottle, while the other half is keen to get their 3 wishes. There's another theory, and if it's right, no one wins, because it's dysfunctional board to a new level. It's gross. One board member, Adam D'Angelo, former CTO of Facebook and creator of Quora, felt that new products from OpenAI were actually infringing on his own company, Quora or Poe, and he felt betrayed by that. So he asked at him. I choose now to quote Kara Swisher, who I mentioned before, who describes it as a Silicon Valley bro-off. Boys dueling on who has the biggest hard drive. The Wall Street Journal has reported that there was only 3 votes, suggesting that D'Angelo didn't vote to oust Sam. There's also a little bit of argy-bargy going around, with OpenAI employees asking the board to broaden the scope of investigation to when Sam changes to the for-profit thinking in about 2018. Now, I read through this letter. I'm not excusing the behaviour because I think some of it's not great management, not great as a human. But it seems like it's a company that underwent colossal change and growth. And as a result, culture got terrible. We've seen it before. But I need to weigh this issue because 95% of the workforce threatening to leave in solidarity with Sam does speak volumes.
Yeah.
Acknowledging that may be very profit driven, because if I was holding stock in a company that was once worth $90 billion and maybe zero, I would also be concerned.
Yeah, but the coup kind of started before they really understood how big of an impact this was going to have on that profit line. So potentially, like, the reason why we're seeing the mass exit, I would say maybe, like, you know, everyone's like, oh, better abandon a sinking ship. But there's going to have been, like, the first movers there.
Imagine going to Microsoft, because that's kind of the mentality which we're seeing. We're seeing all these people going to Microsoft, which is not known in the tech sphere as a nirvana of innovation and stuff.
No.
It's known as, but
I mean, Word is like the worst program ever in the world, and it's the best one we
just
have.
process words.
It's just so annoying. It's the worst.
Not acknowledging Microsoft does a lot more than just Word.
I know, but like, get your bread and butter right. I don't know.
I will give them credit in terms of they've done things like acquire GitHub and left them alone. So they do have a record of acquiring per se and leaving alone to an extent. Let's go back to OpenAI, because we're at Tuesday. I just want to let you know, only 4 days or 5 days have passed. Most of OpenAI threatening to leave. Negotiations continue throughout the table. There's all signs pointing to Sam returning to OpenAI, which Microsoft actually wants. Satya's come out in various spaces and been like, whatever happens, I just want to have a relationship with Sam and OpenAI. And the message is, we will continue to work with Sam, we'll continue to work with OpenAI. That's fine. Negotiations are being supported by Salesforce's Brett Taylor and Airbnb's Brian Chesky, which we'll be talking about in an episode later this season.
Okay.
And then it happens. As quickly as it started, we have reached an agreement in principle for Sam Altman to return as the OpenAI CEO. Plus, a brand new board, including Brett Taylor, who I mentioned beforehand, Larry Summers, US Secretary of Treasury, Adam D'Angelo still there, which again points to the fact that maybe he wasn't too instrumental in that coup. X threads and Twitter is awash with love hearts and exclamations to return to the mission. There's also a further 6 or so board seats that will be put up and spoken about. It's peaked that Microsoft will at least get one at some point, which they really should. Imagine owning 49% of a company and not having voting rights. Long live the king. I know, but I need a water or something stiffer. Let's do that and come back after the break with our thoughts.
Yeah.
Now, I know your head's full, but I want to take you somewhere differently, because I mentioned 2 words consistently through this podcast called effective altruism. So I want to talk about it, and I want to talk about paperclips. Sure, there are probably reasons that Sam was given to his firing. But what's now being revealed a little bit is that the company has some work to do on its mission and vision statement, particularly with this new board. And it goes back to, what are we actually trying to do here? Are we for profit? Are we creating a space in which AI can be used by everyone as per the name of the company? So for a moment, I want you to imagine a super intelligent AI system. This AI's sole objective is straightforward: maximize the production of paperclips. It's a mighty, capable machine and optimizes actions with unmatched precision. But here's a twist: it lacks human values, ethics, and empathy. As this AI begins its mission to maximize paperclip production, it might take extreme and alarming measures that could be disastrous for humanity. It could decide to convert all available resources, including our homes, our infrastructure, into paperclip factories, even if it means causing immense damage and harm to humans. Why do I bring this up? The paperclip theory is a fable used by those aligned with the effective altruism movement to show the dangers of AI systems with really poorly defined or overly simplistic goals. But more broadly, it also teaches us a crucial lesson about our choices in pursuing goals and optimization. In the context of effective altruism, the paperclip theory reminds us of an important ethical consideration and the broader impacts of our actions. It encourages us to think deeply about our objectives and ensure they align with the well-being and values of humanity, which I think maybe that wasn't happening. And much like anything that tries to be black and white in terms of there's one side who are like, slow down, the other side who are like, speed up. The truth and reality probably is in the grey. AI will be great.
Yeah.
But it also could be terrible. Which side do you think you're on, Em?
Well, obviously maybe not obviously, but I'm on the side of caution.
Less paper clips.
You don't want to create something that's more powerful than yourself without an ethical consideration. I don't really know much about AI and technology, but what I do know about is team culture. And I think what we may have seen from the board is a misreading of the culture of the company, because if you make such a big decision like ousting your CEO very quickly in a blindside, very shockingly, so no one's prepared for it to come along
with what seems like really poor rationale,
exactly.
Yeah.
Then you have 700 and something people threatening to leave because of this move.
Just hollowing out your company.
Regardless of anything else, you have misread the situation in terms of your company culture and how your company operates. It sounds like Sam had a very favourable position with the staff, and also must have been steering the ship in some sort of way that made the staff comfortable, in that they have such a negative response that they think the board is going to take it in a different direction, and that brings up a huge kickback. There's something that the board hasn't understood, and I don't know if we'll be able to get into it because we don't know enough, but there's something that the board has misunderstood, a critical piece of information. Like, people, when they're making decisions like this, often think this is going to be good for the business, and so they don't consider culture and what is steering the company before they make these really big decisions. And it sounds to me like they had no idea where the loyalties lay in the company and what people were working there for. Because by removing Sam, they've obviously taken away a big reason why people show up to work.
Even just the jumping around different CEOs.
Yeah.
Like, if you're going to do this, have a succession plan that's clearly communicated, and that maybe social media isn't your primary source of communicating out. It seems like a really immature and confusing board. And I gotta wonder, a lot of this decision was driven by motivation and fear, which is what's coming out a lot, is that there's just people who are a little bit like, oh, we need to do something. And so I feel like things came to a blow, and that's how it evolved. The fact that, and like the timeline I gave was, apparently the Google meet went out on the Thursday, and then 12 hours later he was resigned. So I think that even the decision doesn't appear to have fully thought through at all. Just from a game theory point of view, from a very smart, these are very intelligent people. These are the top of the game. So it's a bit of recognizing where your talents are, and sometimes you might need that outside help, and bringing in that outside counsel to go, listen, this is what we need to do.
Yeah.
What are we missing here? And
if it was, in fact, as urgent as they seem to be saying that it was to get rid of Altman, then there needs to be some sort of communication, particularly with the staff, as to what that was and why it's within the staff interest to understand that decision. So the other thing that's killing me is that they've hired him back, which is either this was some sort of power play in the first instance, which the board lost.
It was a coup that backfired, and Altman kind of came out looking pretty good in this.
So either there's that, or whatever Altman did to make them want to remove him, he has fixed it up. But I don't see how that can happen in 5 days with all these shenanigans going on at the exact same time.
And with the new board that's coming in, let's just be clear around, if Sam is someone who is aligned with profiteering and capitalism and making money, the board is looking pretty much very aligned with his goals and mission. We've lost the two women who are very focused on safety, and we've now brought in someone who was able to sell Twitter for $44 billion to someone, and in the Salesforce bloke. And we've also brought in the US Treasury of State. So there's something, for me, it seems like it's a little bit more aligned with Sam's mission and vision versus what's happening. And so maybe is that where Sam goes, I win this? And even to the fact that Microsoft is clearly in Sam's corner.
Yeah.
And I imagine their goals are very much around for the benefit of their company, whether or not OpenAI exists.
It's interesting because you keep sort of describing Altman as like this, very money-driven capitalism.
Which may be very unfair. There's countless apparently stories of him being a generally good bloke. He'll walk your dog. If there's a problem with
Yeah.
ChatGPT and you ping him on Twitter, he'll respond to you.
But like wanting to make money and not being a good bloke doesn't go hand in hand. We've seen a lot of examples of people who want to make money who aren't a good person, but it doesn't necessarily define who he is. But I think it's going to be something that we're going to want to watch pretty closely, because at the moment, Altman's looking pretty good in the public sphere. Obviously, he was doing something extremely right. All the staff really loved him. They were on his team. They wanted to go over to him. The value of the company dropped without his leadership for 5 days.
Yeah, even the company, regardless of what they felt about him as an individual, the company walking, and even if their motivations were financial, them threatening to resign and perhaps go to Microsoft or Salesforce or wherever they might be going, shows that they believe that without Sam, the value very much lies within him. So they very much, whether they liked him, they valued him very, very highly.
Yes. And sometimes that does go hand in hand. Especially if you're one of those first movers who go, yeah, I'm leaving too. You've got to like Sam in some.
It goes beyond like. Those
human relationships go further than, oh, he's gonna keep my job safe and make me money. Those human relationships are much more important. And this is probably why Altman's sort of come out on top in this situation. Some of the things that he did, particularly like the posting that he's returning on Instagram when he had really no reason.
He hedged his bets.
Yeah, but that's what I mean.
He said, this is the first and last time I wear this, insinuating he's either going back in the office or he's leaving. So I think it could have been it was enough that I'm like,
but like risky.
You're only half a.
That's risky.
Yeah, it is.
It's
implied.
It
was implied what was there. Yeah.
But it's also had an awareness of how this would look or not. I suspect he did. He posted something that sort of put the power back in his camp, because it sort of says, whatever happens, it's going to be because of something I've decided. But that's the kind of thing that the people who were looking at this post pull from it.
Which it just showed that it felt throughout the scenario, he was in complete control. And more or less everything was in his back. Speaking of people in control, I want to talk about Microsoft for a little bit.
Yeah.
Because they've come out of this looking like the case study for the most calm CEO and what an amazing thing he's done. Satya's come in and mediated the whole process. He's walked away with something better, etc., etc. So whatever, he's come out looking mighty, mighty good. There's a lovely piece I read that spoke actually maybe less so, and it's probably worth looking like Microsoft having distance from OpenAI and that not being in their ecosystem, something that they own, but very much I'll say partner, but I mean investor, that they have insulation. Yeah. So if they accidentally release Ultron and destroy the world, or if OpenAI goes down and some of their products go down, they have a level of accountability that they don't have to own up to. They can be like, listen, that's OpenAI's problem. We're working with our partners. These things happen. I wonder, what do you think about Microsoft? How do you feel that they came looking at this? End of the day, from a pure numbers point of view, their stock price is up.
Yeah, I think they were just being opportunistic. For the first time, I'm actually going to say, I think it's actually outside of the realm of what we discuss on this podcast, because I don't. Yeah, I
saw it from a strategy point of view. Like, what was Satya's strategy?
But that's what I think. I don't think that was strategy. I think that was opportunism.
That's what I want to get boiled down to.
Yeah.
I
think it was just like, them going.
Was this a strategy?
Yeah, great.
Or was this a moment?
Yeah, I don't think there was strategy involved at all. I don't know, but I don't think that there would have been someone sitting in a room going, let's think this through. From what I know about big companies like Microsoft that aren't very innovative, I don't believe that there would have been someone in the room going, there's this opportunity, and then being strategic about the opportunity. I think they just would have gone, yeah, great. Oh my God, look at all this press that's going on. Yeah, let's get on that. He seems like he's done a lot of work. People want to leave and go with him. People are quitting on his behalf. Yeah, let's get him in. Like, I don't see how they would have had time to properly consider it, or I don't think they would have been sitting around prior to that going like, what scandal can maybe we jump in on if a scandal pops up in the future? Like, let's get in on that at the ground floor. Like, I don't know if there was any strategy at all in there.
Interesting. We can touch on this later around opportunism and strategy.
Yeah.
Now, we did have speculation corner, Emily.
Yeah.
So what's your bet? Why do you reckon he was? What's the real reason?
I mean, look, I think it's probably the boring one. I think it's probably the one, but we could maybe spice it up a little bit. Because I think it's more likely if there was an instant in which Altman did something wrong, it would have been in the board's interest to publicize that. Because they would have gone, no, he did this and that's shit. And so we want to do
Silicon
this.
Valley is really quick to act on that kind of thing. They are very quick to, if someone's done something bad, they're very quick to be like, yeah.
And if all the press is going, why have you done this? Altman's the best. They go, no. And they'd have something to point to very quickly and easily. And there's just no reason unless it makes the entire company come crashing down, in which case that's a completely different story and probably more scandalous. But I think probably the most likely situation, and again, this is speculation corner, we are totally speculating. There's a lot of missing information and links in this episode, and we've done a lot of speculating. It's probably more likely someone on the board got something stuck in their craw and they were constantly butting heads around Altman wanting to do something and this person being like, no, I don't think that's a good idea. And it's just boom, 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 boom. So this person goes, right, I'm staging a coup. I'm getting these other two people on board. Isn't that really annoying? Planting that seed, and then it's like they're ready, got their ducks in a row, bam, he's out. That's my thought.
And you're probably right. Which is really boring.
Yeah.
But also better for humanity because they haven't released the mega killer robot yet.
Yeah. And let's hope that they don't.
Yet. Or at least it's focused on improving Microsoft Word or something beneficial to society.
That's my hot tip. Dear Microsoft, please be better. Well, listeners, there you have it. You now understand a little bit more of a con. And we hope that if you do get a CEO title, it isn't for less time than a Kim Kardashian marriage like Emmett Shear.
Ooh, lovely.
If you haven't already, please subscribe to the Big Con podcast. It not only supports us, but means you will get all the latest episodes straight to your device. Do not keep all the fun to yourself either. Please share the con around. Your mother, your aunt, your best friend's brother. Tell them to check us out on all their favourite podcast apps. For any further details, head over to our website, thebigconsultingagency.com, and sign up to the mailing list. Well, thank you, Dale. That was a ripper.
We should release this episode in Microsoft Word, I reckon. I think that's our next frontier.
Bye for now.